I still remember the exact moment everything changed. It was my wedding day. Flowers everywhere, 150 guests smiling, my husband squeezing my hand under the table. We'd just cut the cake when my mom stood up, mic in hand, beaming like she'd planned the perfect surprise. She looked right at me, then at my younger sister Tessa sitting next to her, and said, clear as day, "We've decided the car Ethan's parents gifted you, the $22,000 silver Subaru Outback with the big red ribbon still on it, belongs to Tessa now. She deserves it more. She's been struggling and well, you'll be fine." The entire reception went dead silent. My sister laughed nervously and added, "Relax, it's just a car." My new in-laws looked horrified. My husband froze. And me? I felt something snap inside. And that was the day I stopped being the good daughter who swallowed every insult. What I did next went absolutely nuclear. And trust me, they never saw it coming. My name is Emily, and up until my wedding day, I thought I was the peacemaker of the family, the one who always smiled, always forgave, always put everyone else first. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. White roses everywhere, fairy lights twinkling, 150 people who loved us watching. My husband Ethan and I had just finished our first dance. We were laughing, stealing bites of cake, when my mom, my own mother, stood up with the microphone. She had that proud, glowing smile she saves for special announcements. She looked straight at me, then over at my younger sister Tessa, who was sitting beside her looking smug. And in front of everyone, my new in-laws, "I'm my bridesmaids, my husband," she said, clear and loud, "we've decided the car Ethan's parents gifted you, the $22,000 silver Subaru Outback with the big red bow still tied around it, belongs to Tessa now. She deserves it more. She's been struggling lately, and you, Emily, you'll be fine. You always are." The room froze. Tessa giggled and shrugged like it was no big deal. "Relax, it's just a car," she said. My husband's hand tightened on mine so hard it hurt. My mother-in-law gasped, and me. Something deep inside me finally broke. That was the moment I stopped being the good daughter. What I did next went absolutely nuclear, and they never saw it coming. I can still feel the heat rising in my cheeks that night, the way the string lights blurred through sudden tears I refused to let fall. Then the clink of champagne glasses that had been joyful seconds earlier now sounded like breaking glass in my head. My dress, ivory lace I'd spent months saving for, suddenly felt too tight, like the whole room was pressing in on me. Ethan's thumb rubbed slow circles on the back of my hand under the table, trying to ground me, but even he looked stunned. His parents, who had proudly handed us the keys to that Subaru just 2 days earlier as their welcome to the family gift, were staring at my mum like she'd grown a second head. Tessa? She was already reaching for the little gift bag with the car keys peeking out, smiling like she'd won a prize on a game show. "Thanks, Mum," she said sweetly, loud enough for the people at the next table to hear. "This is going to make my commute so much easier." And my mum. She just sat back down, besmoothed her dress and picked up her fork again like she'd commented on the weather. No apology, no just kidding, nothing. That single sentence, "Your sister deserves the car, not you," wasn't just about a car. It was the final drop in a lifetime of being second place. The overlooked birthday presents, the Tessa's more artistic excuses, the college fund that mysteriously dried up when it was my turn, but somehow refilled for her grad school. I looked around at all those faces, some pitying, some whispering, a few actually looking angry on my behalf. And I realized something crystal clear. If I let this slide, if I smiled and said it's fine, like I always had, I'd never forgive myself. So right there, in the middle of my own wedding reception, with cake crumbs still on my plate and rice still in my hair, I made a promise to myself. And they wanted to take something that was mine in front of everyone. Fine. I was about to take everything back, and more. What happened next wasn't petty. It wasn't loud at first, but it was nuclear. And when the dust settled, no one in my family would ever look at me or each other the same way again. After that moment at the reception, I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of everyone. I just sat there, smiling tightly, nodding like the perfect bride I'd always been trained to be. But inside, every memory of the last 28 years came rushing back like a flood I couldn't stop. My name's Emily, like I said. I'm the oldest, always the responsible one. Tessa is 3 years younger, the surprise baby, who arrived when my parents were finally settled. From the day she was born, the rules changed. When I wanted ballet lessons, Mum said we couldn't afford it. When Tessa wanted them 2 years later, suddenly there was money. I got hand-me-down clothes and be grateful lectures. Tessa got new everything, with photos posted proudly online. High school, I worked 2 part-time jobs to save for college. Tessa got a full ride from our parents because she's more creative. She needs the freedom to focus. I went to state school on scholarships and loans. She went to a private university with a dorm that looked like a hotel. Even my wedding. I planned every detail myself, paid for most of it with the money Ethan and I saved together. My parents contributed what they called a generous amount, which turned out to be $1,500 toward flowers. Ethan's parents, on the other hand, surprised us with the Subaru Outback just days before the wedding. Brand new, silver, she fully loaded. They said it was for our new life together, practical for when we start a family, safe for road trips. They even tied that ridiculous red bow on it and parked it outside the venue so everyone could see. It was their gift to us, not to Tessa, not to my mum to re-gift like some unwanted casserole. And the worst part, this wasn't the first time my mum pulled something like this. At my college graduation, she spent the entire dinner talking about how Tessa's upcoming art show was going to be life-changing. When I got my first big promotion last year, she texted back, "That's nice. Tessa just sold her first painting for $800. But the car announcement, that was public, humiliating. In front of my new husband's entire family, my friends, people who'd travelled across states to celebrate me. And Tessa just sat there, accepting it like it was her birthright. As the night went on, people started coming up to me quietly. Ethan's mum pulled me aside in the hallway, eyes shining with tears, whispering, "That wasn't right, honey. That car is yours. We bought it for you two." My best friend hugged me so tight and said, "Don't let them ruin this. You deserve better." I thanked them. I smiled. I danced one more slow dance with Ethan, but the whole time I was planning. Because this time, I wasn't going to swallow it. I wasn't going to be the bigger person. I was done being erased. By the time we left for our honeymoon the next morning, I had already made 3 important phone calls, and the first bomb was about to drop. By the time we left for our honeymoon the next morning, I had already made 3 important phone calls, and the first bomb was about to drop. Longer pause, faint sound of waves or distant traffic to transition into deeper reflection. But before I tell you exactly what those calls were, you need to understand how deep this favoritism ran. It wasn't just one-off incidents. It was a lifetime pattern that I'd excused, minimized, and buried for years, because family is family, and that's just how Mum is. Take holidays, for example. Every Christmas growing up, Tessa got the biggest pile under the tree: new electronics, designer clothes, the latest gadgets. I got practical things: socks, books, maybe one nice item if I was lucky. When I asked why once, around age 12, Mum said, "Tessa's still little. She needs the magic more. You're old enough to understand it's not about the gifts." I nodded like a good girl. But I remember sitting on the stairs watching her rip open boxes while I clutched my new notebook, feeling invisible. Then there was the family vacation fund. When I was 18 and wanted to study abroad for a semester, something that would have changed my life, Dad said the money was tight. 2 years later, Tessa needed inspiration for her art degree, so they sent her to Paris for 6 weeks, all expenses paid. She came back with photos of cafes and museums, posting them with captions like, "Living my best life," while I was working retail to pay my rent. Even smaller things stung. My 21st birthday, Mum forgot to plan anything because she was busy helping Tessa move into her new apartment. Tessa's 21st. A surprise party at a rooftop bar with 40 people, custom cake, hired photographer. I showed up smiling, took the group photos, and then left early so no one would see me cry in the parking lot. And the worst one before the wedding. When Ethan proposed, I was over the moon. I called Mum first, voice shaking with excitement. Her response? "That's wonderful, honey, but make sure you don't rush things. Tessa's boyfriend just got her a promise ring, and she's only 25. You're almost 28. You don't want to look desperate." I laughed it off on the phone, hung up, cried for an hour. Ethan held me and said, "We don't need their approval. This is our life." He was right, but it still hurt. So by the time that Subaru was parked outside the venue with its giant bow, it wasn't just a car. It was proof that someone, Ethan's wonderful parents, saw me, valued me, wanted to give me something beautiful without strings or comparisons. And in one toast, my mum snatched that away, publicly and casually, like it was nothing. As we drove away from the venue that night, me still in my wedding dress, Ethan gripping the wheel too tight, I stared out the window at the passing lights and whispered, "I'm done." He glanced over. Done with what? Done pretending this is normal. Done letting them rewrite my life to make hers shine brighter. That's when I pulled out my phone. First call, Ethan's dad. Second call, our lawyer friend who specializes in property and gifts. Third call, the one person I knew could help me make this impossible to ignore. I didn't sleep much on our honeymoon. Instead, I planned, quietly, methodically. Because this time, the revenge wasn't going to be a shouting match or a slammed door. It was going to be clean, legal, irreversible. And when it landed, it would feel like the sky falling on the people who thought they could keep stepping on me forever. The morning after the wedding, while most brides are posting honeymoon selfies and glowing reviews of the venue, I was sitting on the balcony of our little beachside Airbnb, laptop open, coffee going cold beside me. Ethan brought me a fresh mug and kissed the top of my head. "You sure about this?" he asked quietly. I looked up at him, my rock, the man who'd seen every tear I'd hidden from my family, and nodded. "I've never been more sure. They took something that wasn't theirs in front of everyone. I'm taking it back and making sure they understand exactly what they did." First move, the car itself. I called Ethan's dad back. He'd been the one who bought it. He answered on the first ring, a voice thick with anger he'd been holding in all night. "Emily, honey, we're furious. That gift was for you and Ethan, not a hand-me-down for your sister. The title is in your name. We made sure of it. No one else can legally drive it off without your signature. That was the key. The Subaru was registered solely to me, Emily, last name, not Tessa, not Mom. My parents had never even seen the paperwork. They just assumed because they decided it belonged to Tessa. That made it so. Wrong. Very wrong. Second call. Our lawyer friend, Sarah. She's a family law and property specialist we met through Ethan's work. I explained everything, word for word what Mum said at the reception, how Tessa accepted the keys like a trophy, the stunned silence from the guests. Sarah listened without interrupting, and then said 3 beautiful words. That's conversion of property, and if they try to transfer or sell it without your consent, it's felony-level theft in most states. She walked me through the next steps. Send a formal demand letter via certified mail to both Mum and Tessa. Demand immediate return of the vehicle within 72 hours. Include photos of the car with the bow still on it, time-stamped from the wedding day. Attach a copy of the title showing my name only. CC Ethan's parents so they could see we were serious. I drafted it right there on the balcony. No emotion, no insults, just cold, clear facts. The vehicle in question was a wedding gift to me and my husband. Any attempt to retain, use, or dispose of it constitutes unauthorized control of stolen property. Return it undamaged to the address below by date 72 hours from now, or we will pursue all available legal remedies, including but not limited to civil suit for conversion, replevin, and potential criminal referral. I hit send on the email to Sarah for review, then printed and overnighted the hard copies. Cost me $120 in shipping and notary fees, worth every penny. Third call, the nuclear insurance angle. I contacted our auto insurance provider. The policy was already switched to my name the week before the wedding. I explained the situation calmly. Family dispute over a gifted vehicle, possible unauthorized use. They put a theft watch flag on the VIN and told me if anyone tried to register, insure, or drive it without my permission, it would trigger an alert and potentially void any coverage if an accident happened. In other words, if Tessa drove that car even once, she'd be uninsured completely. Legally naked on the road. By noon that day, the day after my wedding, I had a demand letter in motion. Legal proof the car was mine, an insurance trap set, and zero guilt. Ethan watched me close the laptop and finally exhale. "You're scary when you're focused," he said with a small smile. I laughed for the first time since the reception. Good, because I'm just getting started. That night, the first text came from Tessa. "Hey sis, Mum said the car is mine now, LOL. When can I pick it up? Need it for work Monday." I stared at the screen for a long minute. Then I typed one reply. "You can't. Read your mail." That night, the first text came from Tessa. "Hey sis, Mom said the car is mine now, LOL. When can I pick it up? I need it for work Monday." I stared at the screen for a long minute. Then I typed one reply. "You can't. Read your mail." Short pause, faint notification chime sound effect, then silence. I turned my phone face down on the table and watched the screen light up again almost immediately. Tessa. "What? Mum said it's fine, LOL, stop being dramatic." Then, "Emily, seriously, this isn't funny." Then a string of crying emojis and "call me." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my email. Sarah had already approved the demand letter with one small addition, a line about potential punitive damages for intentional interference with a gift. She explained it casually. "It's legalese for 'you knew it wasn't yours and took it anyway, courts hate that.'" I hit print again, and this time I added a fourth copy, one addressed directly to Tessa at her apartment. I'd kept her address from years of holiday cards, just to make sure she couldn't claim she never got it. While the printer hummed, Ethan came up behind me and wrapped his arms around my waist. "You're really doing this," he murmured into my hair. "I am," I said, "and I'm not stopping at the car." That's when I explained the bigger picture I'd been piecing together on the flight to our honeymoon spot. The car was just the spark, the real fire. Years of financial favoritism that had concrete paper trails. See, when my parents helped Tessa with grad school, they didn't just pay tuition. They transferred lump sums, $15,000 here, $8,000 there, straight into her account over the years. And I knew because I'd helped Mom set up online banking years ago when her laptop crashed. I still had access to the shared family account view, the one they never bothered to remove me from. Every transfer had a memo line. Tessa tuition, Tessa rent, Tessa art supplies. Nothing for me after my undergrad loans, not 1 cent. I screenshotted the last 5 years of transactions, clean, dated, undeniable. Then I pulled up the wedding gift registry we'd set up, the one my parents claimed they contributed to but never actually did. Guests had bought us things like kitchen appliances, bedding, even a nice set of luggage. My parents, 0 purchases. But they'd bragged at every family gathering about helping pay for the wedding. I had the registry logs to prove otherwise. And the final piece, Mum's habit of posting on Facebook. And she'd already shared a photo from the reception, the one where she's holding the car keys up triumphantly next to Tessa. Caption, So proud to help my baby girl get on her feet. New ride for the win, tagged both of us, public, with 87 likes and comments like, "What a generous mom," and "Tessa, you deserve it, girl." I downloaded every screenshot, including the comments, including the one from Ethan's aunt. Wait, wasn't that the bride's gift? Which Mum had conveniently ignored. By the end of day 2 of our honeymoon, I had a tidy digital folder labelled Evidence Family Matter. Inside, demand letters sent and tracking numbers, title copy, insurance flag confirmation email, bank transfer screenshots, registry logs, social media captures. I zipped it, password protected it, and emailed a copy to Sarah with the note, "For safekeeping in case things escalate." That evening, the group family chat exploded. Mum, "Emily, what is this letter? This is ridiculous. It's a family gift." Tessa, "You're seriously suing your own sister over a car? Grow up." Dad, who rarely texts, "Call your mother, now." I read them all. Then I typed one group reply, my first public shot. "The vehicle is legally mine, as the title proves. Any further unauthorized use will be reported as theft. We can discuss this calmly when the car is returned undamaged. Until then, please respect our honeymoon." I hit send. Then I turned off notifications, silenced my phone, and went to sit with Ethan on the beach. We watched the sunset in silence for a long time. He finally spoke. "You okay?" I leaned my head on his shoulder. Better than okay. For the first time, I feel like I'm the one writing the story. And that was only the beginning. The real explosion was still coming. We returned from our honeymoon 5 days later. The Subaru was still parked exactly where Ethan's parents had left it, outside our apartment complex, keys in my purse, bow long since removed. No one had touched it. No one had dared. But the family chat had been a war zone the entire time we were gone. Mum sent long voice messages. "Emily, this is childish. We're family. You're embarrassing us." Tessa, "You're ruining my life over a stupid car. I already told my boss I'd have reliable transportation." Dad, one single text. "Call your mother. This ends now." I read them all on the flight home, smiled once, then deleted the thread. He blocked everyone except Ethan's family group, which had grown supportive messages like, "We've got your back, Em, and proud of you for standing up." The first real explosion happened 2 days after we landed. A certified letter arrived at my parents' house, return receipt requested. Inside, the final demand. Sarah had upgraded it, plus a polite but firm notice that if the car wasn't returned within the original 72-hour window, which had expired while we were away, we would file for replevin in small claims court the following Monday. Cost to file, $150. Potential judgment, full value of the vehicle plus court fees, plus any punitive damages the judge saw fit. Mum called from a blocked number that evening. I let it ring twice, then answered on speaker so Ethan could hear. Emily rose. "Hey, what in God's name do you think you're doing?" Her voice was shaking, half fury, half panic. I kept mine even. "I'm protecting what's legally mine, Mum. The car was gifted to me and Ethan. The title says so. The insurance says so. The law says so. You announced in front of 150 people that you were giving it away. That's not how gifts work." She tried the guilt trip. "We raised you better than this. Tessa needs it more. She's starting a new job. Her car broke down last month." I cut her off. "Then maybe she should buy one. Or maybe you should buy her one, with the money you've funneled to her for years while telling me we can't afford it." Silence. Then, "That's not fair." "It's exactly fair," I said. "I have screenshots, transfers, dates, amounts. $47,000 over the last 6 years, Mum. All to Tessa. Nothing to me after college. You want to talk about deserving? Let's talk about that in court if you'd like." She gasped. "You're threatening to sue your own family." "No," I said. "I'm telling you the consequences of your actions. Return the car, undamaged, full tank like it was given, by tomorrow at 5 p.m. or we file. And if Tessa drove it even once, Well, the insurance company already has the VIN flagged. She'd be driving uninsured. That's on you. Click. She hung up. The next morning at 10:17 a.m., my phone buzzed with a photo from Ethan's dad. He'd driven by my parents' house to check. The Subaru was parked in their driveway. Tessa was standing next to it, arms crossed, looking furious. Mum was loading something into the trunk, my guess, the red bow they'd kept as a souvenir. By 4:42 p.m., the car was back in our parking spot. Keys in an envelope slid under our door. No note, no apology, just the keys and a sticky note in Mum's handwriting. Here, happy now. I took a photo of it next to our apartment number for proof, texted Sarah. Returned, case closed. She replied instantly. For the car, yes, but keep the evidence folder, you never know. That night, I posted one thing on my private Instagram story, visible only to close friends and Ethan's family. A single photo of the Subaru in our spot, keys dangling from my hand. Caption: some gifts are meant to stay where they belong. Tessa unfollowed me within minutes. Mum sent a long text I didn't read. Dad, nothing. But the sweetest part, Ethan's mum called the next day crying happy tears. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. You didn't just get the car back, you got your dignity back. And she was right. And the car was nice, but the real win was the silence that followed. No more guilt trips, no more comparisons, no more rewriting my life to prop up theirs. They learned, maybe not to love me equally, but at least to fear crossing me again. They learned, maybe not to love me equally, but at least to fear crossing me again. Pause. Let a low, resonant chord hang for emphasis, then continue with a softer, more reflective delivery. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful at first. It was heavy, loaded, like the air after a storm when everyone's still waiting for lightning that never comes. For weeks, the family tried different tactics. First came the indirect guilt through relatives. My aunt, Mum's sister, texted me, "Your mum is heartbroken." She says you're punishing the whole family over one misunderstanding. I replied once, it wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a choice, and choices have consequences. Then I blocked her too. No more flying monkeys. Next, Tessa tried the victim card on social media, a vague post. When family turns on you for no reason, some people change after marriage, I guess. She got a flood of supportive comments from her circle. People who didn't know the full story. I didn't comment, didn't need to. Ethan's cousin, who'd been at the wedding, dropped a single reply. Actually, we were all there. The car was gifted to the bride. Rewriting that isn't cute. Tessa deleted the post within an hour. Score one more. Dad finally broke his silence about a month later. A short email, subject line, "Let's talk." Body, "Your mother and I never meant to hurt you. And Tessa was in a bad spot. We thought you'd understand. Can we meet for coffee? No drama." I read it 3 times, then forwarded it to Sarah with the note. "Do I respond?" She wrote back, "Only if you want closure, but don't apologize and don't meet alone." I did respond. One paragraph. "Dad, I appreciate the outreach, but understanding doesn't mean accepting theft or public humiliation. The car is back where it belongs. That chapter is closed. If you and Mum want a real relationship, not one built on favoritism and excuses, then we can talk. But it starts with acknowledgement, not minimization. Until then, I'm protecting my peace. Take care." He never replied. But 3 months later, a small envelope arrived in the mail, no return address. Inside, a check for $2,500. Memo line, "Toward wedding expenses we should have covered." No note. No apology. Just the money. I stared at it for a long time, then deposited it. Not because I needed it, but because it felt like the first real admission they'd ever given me. A quiet, wordless, "You were right." Tessa. She took longer to crack. She kept the car drama going in group texts for a while, complaining about how unfair life is and how she almost lost her job because of me. Then one day, radio silence. A mutual friend later told me Tessa's new job fell through anyway, unrelated, and she'd moved back in with our parents temporarily. Apparently, Mum was now paying her rent again. The cycle continued, just without me in it. And me? I changed too. I stopped attending family holidays unless Ethan and I both wanted to. Christmas that year, we spent it with his parents, who treated us like gold. New Year's, just the two of us, and champagne on the balcony, toasting to new traditions. No guilt, no second guessing, no wondering if I was too harsh. The best part came 6 months later. Ethan and I were out for dinner when my phone buzzed, a rare text from Mum. Simple. Saw your new house photos on Instagram. It looks beautiful. Proud of you. No mention of the car, no excuses. No, but Tessa. I showed Ethan. He raised an eyebrow. Progress. Maybe, I said. Or maybe she's just running out of ways to pretend I don't exist. Either way, I didn't reply right away. I let it sit, because for the first time in my life, the power dynamic had flipped. They weren't dictating terms anymore. I was. And that feeling, quiet, steady, unbreakable, was worth more than any car ever could be. Looking back now, in almost a year since that wedding reception where everything shattered and rebuilt itself stronger, I realized the car was never really about the car. It was about boundaries, about refusing to be erased anymore, about choosing myself, even when it meant walking away from people who only loved the version of me that stayed small and silent. The Subaru still sits in our driveway. We drive it every day. Groceries, weekend getaways, the occasional long road trip where Ethan and I talk about the future without anyone else's voice in our heads. Every time I turn the key, I remember Mum's smile that night. And I smile back at the memory, not with anger, with quiet victory. My parents and I aren't estranged forever. We're in what therapists call low contact with clear boundaries. We exchange holiday cards, occasional polite texts. A Mum sent flowers on my birthday last month. No note, just the flowers. I sent a thank you text, short, civil, no invitation to dinner, no opening the door wide again. And that feels right. Tessa. She's still figuring things out. Last I heard through a cousin, she got a new job, better pay, her own apartment finally. She stopped posting the victim stories, stopped tagging me in anything. I don't check her profile anymore. I don't need to. Her chapter in my story is closed. The biggest change happened inside me. I used to apologize for existing too loudly. I used to shrink so others could shine brighter. Now? I speak up at work. I celebrate my wins without downplaying them. I let Ethan's family spoil us rotten because they actually mean it. And when someone tries to compare me to anyone else, I just smile and say, I'm not in competition. I'm just being me. Ethan and I bought our first house 6 months ago. Small, cozy, with a backyard big enough for the dog we adopted. A goofy golden retriever named Luna, who thinks the Subaru is her personal chariot. We painted the walls ourselves, laughed until we cried when the roller slipped and splattered us both blue. No one was there to criticize the color choice. No one was there to say someone else deserved it more. On moving day, as the last box came in, Ethan pulled me onto the front porch, handed me a cold drink and said, "You did this, Em. You fought for us, for you." I looked at him, my partner, my witness, my safe place, and felt something settle deep in my chest. Peace. The kind that doesn't need validation from anyone else. And so if you're watching this and you've ever felt like the good one who always gets overlooked, if you've ever swallowed a betrayal because family is family, hear me, you don't have to keep swallowing. You can stand up, quietly, legally, firmly. And when you do, the world doesn't end. It just gets a little bigger, a little brighter, a little more yours. My name is Emily. This was my wedding, my humiliation, my revenge, and now my new beginning. Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, drop a like, share your own quiet victory in the comments, and subscribe for more real stories of people who finally said enough. Until next time, Choose yourself. You deserve it.